Well, good afternoon and welcome to our new knowledge session today. My name is Sandy Ratliff. I'm with Virginia Community Capital, and we're happy to partner with the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, and the town of Abingdon to present these sessions every other week, Wednesday. It's hard to believe we've been doing this for 10 years, and we started this in support of the Washington County Business Challenge as a way to keep our entrepreneurs learning new skills to help them with their success, and it has grown to become almost a statewide initiative, and it's hard to believe that 10 years has gone this fast. Just some housekeeping things. Today's session is being recorded for training and educational purposes. I wanted to let everyone know to keep the webinar flowing. We do have you muted and your video off, but we do want to hear from you. If you have a question for our presenter today, please post those in the Q&A section, and we will address those during and especially afterwards. Today, we are extremely fortunate to have Alexandra Veatch with Letterpress Communications, who I can't think of anyone else that would be more perfect for this, because I've known Alex for a good number of years, and she's the perfect person to present this webinar. She is the ultimate communicator and has spent years telling stories about Southwest Virginia. And if you just do an online search, you will find a lot of content that Alex has presented over the years. So, Alex, I am going to turn it over to you, and enjoy, everyone.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. So today we are going to talk about promoting your brand. I'm going to give you 3 solid tips for foundational work with your brand. So whether you are just getting started or you are established, these are great things to be either working towards or to take time to assess and make sure that you're on the right track. But a little bit about me. As Sandy said, I have been communicating in Southwest Virginia for quite some time now. So if I look familiar, I have worked at the Southwest Virginia Cultural Center or Marketplace when it was Heartwood, the town of Abingdon, Highlands Community Services, Emory and Henry twice, the town of Marion, and Hungry Mother State Park. So been around in a lot of different industries as well. I'm also happy to support my husband's brewery in Marion, doing some marketing for them as well. So small business all the way to government, been there, done that. And again, I'm happy to take your questions as we go through. So don't feel like you have to wait till the end. You can put them in the chat and we'll answer them as they come. So just a little bit more about Letterpress Communications. We are a boutique marketing firm based out of Farmville. I am our Marion office, but we really focus on rural marketing. So everything we're going to talk about today works well for where we are. We know that you have to do all sorts of marketing. You can't just do digital. You still have to do print. So we're going to talk a little bit about everything today. But I want you all to be thinking about this through the lens of community-powered marketing. So what does that mean? We believe that your marketing is as good as your team, your stories, your growth, and your good. So as we're talking today, be thinking about who is on your team. It might be somebody that is employed by you, but it also could be a volunteer. It could be an influencer or somebody who really enjoys your brand. It could be your family. So think about the people who can help you with your marketing and help you get the word out about you. Be thinking about your stories. People really connect with stories. So what stories can you tell about your brand? How have you connected with your customers, with your audience? What are the things that you do that is good and different from others? And think about your growth. So everything we talk about today is going to be measurable. So marketing and branding takes time. So you want to be able to measure it so you can really look at that return on investment and make sure that your time is well spent. And then always be thinking about good. So the good that you can do in your community, the good that you can do in your business with your employees. People want to do business with brands that do good. And we're definitely seeing that trend with the younger generations. So Gen Z especially, they want to interact with brands that are doing good. So think about how you can do good in your community. We're going to start with your brand. You should know it inside and out. And this is my favorite way to look at your brand. A lot of people think, oh, my brand is my logo. It's so much more than that. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Think about all the things that are below the water, your fonts, your colors, your photo, your tone. How do you sound to people, either in person or digitally? Your messaging, what are your keywords and phrases? And your customer service. I believe it was Jeff Bezos who said that your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So what are people saying about you? What are they saying about your business? And how are you articulating that consistently across all of your channels? And so that's where we're going to start. Consistency is key. So all of these tips, like I said, are foundational tips. They're ways for you to truly understand your brand, to truly understand how you are utilizing your brand in your marketing, and then creating a plan around it. So we're going to start with tip number 1, build a brand guide. Your brand is the single most important investment you're going to make in your business. So taking the time to stop and build a brand guide is really going to be helpful for you. Your brand guide not only helps you articulate your brand through your marketing, but it helps your team as well. So if you're lucky enough to have team members there to help you, having this source of truth is important. Maybe you'll get a chance to get an intern, having this source of truth document to give to them. Or if you decide to hire a freelancer or an agency, knowing these things is going to make sure that your brand stays consistent. So what should be in a brand guide? It should have your logos, and it should have all the versions of your logo. So maybe you have a square version and a horizontal version. It should have all of those laid out in there. It should, if you have a one color or an all white version, you should have those in there. You should include the usage. When do you want to see those used? What is your primary logo? What's your secondary logo? What might be used for social profiles only? All of those things should be laid out in your brand guide. It should include your fonts. So what fonts do you use? What are your alternate fonts? If your font is not available, like on your website, what's a comparable font that you're using? Your colors, your hex colors, which are your digital colors that's used when you're doing like website work. Your CMYK colors, cyan, yellow, magenta, and black. Those are the colors that are used in printing. RGB are all of your digital colors, your red, green, and blue numbers. And then if you have a Pantone number, those are used especially if you are doing a lot of printing, doing a lot of promotional items. When you go to have something embroidered, they may ask for your Pantone colors. But if you can give them at least your CMYK colors, your hex colors, your RBG, you're going to make sure that your colors are staying the same across all of your items, especially those promo items. Again, usage examples of all of these things. If you have anything already designed and established, like your business card, letterhead, those examples can go in your brand guide as well. And then moving on, your brand guide can also address your messaging. So it should have your tagline, your mission statement, your elevator pitch. If you haven't taken the time to establish an elevator pitch, I highly recommend that. That is the quickest way to articulate your brand to somebody. So including that in your brand guide is wonderful. It can have keywords and phrases, tone words and phrases. So how do you want to sound to customers? Are you friendly? Are you trying to be luxurious? What are the words that go along with your brand? And how do you articulate those? And then if you have the time, actually build out some target personas. So take the time to think about who your target audience is, what they are like, and how you can help them. So, and what they want from your brand. So I always tell people the easiest way to start with this is to just scroll through some stock photos and find somebody who looks like your target persona. And then just kind of build around that. Where are they located? How are they educated? What is their age? What are they interested in? And then how do you expect them to interact with your brand? And what can you do for them that's unique from other places? So those are all the things that can go in your brand guide. There's other things that can go in there as well. But even just taking the time to get a couple of these things down on paper really helps you lay a solid foundation for your brand. The next thing is, now that you've established your brand, you have an idea of what you want people to see across all of your channels, would be to assess your channels. So is your branding consistent across all of your channels? Are you utilizing your channels well? One thing I like to tell people about social media is make sure you're engaging with people. If you're not utilizing your channels well, think about what you might be able to get rid of so you can establish good channels and then build from there. Remember that free isn't free. Are you investing money compared to your time? And do you even know where to start? So we're going to start by looking at the 3 types of channels that you have as a brand for marketing: your own channels, your earned channels, and your paid channels. Own channels are the channels and platforms where you can publish for free. Yes, you may be paying for your domain, or you may be paying for an email marketing service, but these are the places where you put out all the information about you. So it's your website. It's your social platforms that have posting ability. It's your email marketing, print and signage within your business, and it's your Google business page. Because you can do posts there as well. If you don't take anything else away from this, make sure your Google business page is up to date. That is an important source of truth for your customers, making sure they know how to interact with you when you are open, and that your location is correct if you have a physical location. A pro tip about your owned channels is that your marketing should always point back to these channels. So every bit of marketing should have a call to action, and your call to action should point people back to, say, your website. And then make sure you can measure it. So if you don't have Google Analytics on your website, make sure it's there, because it's going to help you monitor your traffic, see where people are coming from, how they're interacting with your website, whether they're on a desktop or on a mobile device. All of these things are going to help you measure your return on investment. So if you have a post on Facebook about a blog post that you've made on your website, you want to point people back to that, and then you should be able to measure that conversion from somebody clicking on that post in Facebook back to reading that blog on your website. Up next are your earned channels. So these are the places where people are talking about you. Often these cross over, so you have to remember that where you're posting content, people can also be talking about you. So monitoring these on a regular basis. Again, Google Business, monitoring those reviews, review sites like Yelp and TripAdvisor. I encourage people to think about those almost like social media. These are places where you should be engaging. So if somebody posts a review about you, thank them for it. If it's not so great review, take the time to find out why, see how you can make it right. Other people are going to see that and they're going to admire that about your brand. These could also be influencers on social media. And then more traditionally, it's media outlets. So getting picked up by your local news station or by the local radio station or newspaper. Those are still ways to get the word out about you, and those are still earned channels. And most importantly is word of mouth. Again, people want to interact with brands that are doing good and that they know that they are going to get what they need from them. So the more people you can get to say something nice about you, the better. And again, the pro tip here is make sure that you are engaging with people on social media and your review sites. You want to build that relationship with them. And just a little interaction can go a long way, especially towards strong word of mouth. And then your paid channels. So this is where you are investing money. Think these are traditional. They could also be new advertising as well. It is broadcast. So television, radio, connected TV, digital advertising, social media ads, and boosts. A lot of people ask about ads versus boosting posts. I always recommend if you have a post that is doing well organically, that's a wonderful candidate for boosting a post. If you have a limited budget, even if it's $100 a month, boosting your posts on social media platforms, because they are pay to play, is going to help get more eyes on that channel for you. Print ads, advertorials, making sure you're making the most of the money spent. Ask if you're running a print ad, ask if they do an advertorial where you can submit content that mirrors their content to match your print ad. Direct mail still works. So taking the time to do a mailer, targeting your audience, making it variable data would be wonderful. So it looks and is changing depending on whose home it is going to. And then consider out of home. So billboards, posters, things that are large format printing that is going to help you elevate your brand. And then the pro tip here, you should invest equal amounts of money versus time that you're spending on your marketing. So the time you spent isn't free. So making sure that you're getting the most out of your time spent by making sure you have a budget to go along with it. Oh, somebody put in the chat, we will definitely be sharing the slides at the end. So don't worry about getting into them, and we can go back if anybody would like to. The next thing we're going to talk about is your strategy. So now that you've taken the time to look at your brand, you understand it, you know what your tone words and what your messaging is, what your brand looks like and feels like. You've taken the time to assess your channels. You understand your own channels, your earned channels, and your paid channels, and you're doing them well. It's time to create a marketing plan. So again, taking the time to put it on paper or digital is going to help you make sure that you're making the most out of your time and your money. Your marketing plan should address your brand consistency. So as you're assessing those channels, if you're realizing that maybe your social profiles are all different, that action item can be in your marketing plan. Actually going through and changing them, making sure that your cover, your photos, and your profile images all look the same. Your marketing plan should always address your owned, earned, and paid channels. So where are you posting things? Where are you going to be trying to earn branding and marketing? And where are you going to be paying for your marketing? It definitely should include a budget. And again, not just money spent, but your time investment as well. So a marketing plan should be realistic. It should have realistic goals and action items in it to make sure that you have the capacity to complete your marketing plan. It's really easy to build this amazing marketing plan and then it just sits on a shelf because it didn't address capacity as much as it addressed money spent. It should include a timeline. And this is super personal how you want to do this. Your marketing plan could be for a full year. Maybe it's your fiscal year. Your marketing, if you have grants, your marketing plan could match a grant timeline. If you're somebody who gets overwhelmed by long-term planning like that, it's okay to have a marketing plan that's just 6 months, or maybe it is month to month. Taking the time to know this is what I'm going to do this month. Here's the special things that I'm going to do this month, and then I'm going to reevaluate at the end of the month. Your marketing plan should also have who does what. So if you have a team of people, who's going to be executing each of these pieces of the marketing plan. And then it should also address your target markets. This is another place that you can take some time to assess. So depending on your business, you could be looking at your customer base. Where are people coming from? How are they interacting with you? And how can you target that market more? Because if you have people coming from there, there's chances are that they're going to continue to come from there. Where are your reach markets? If you are a brick and mortar business, how far out are people coming to interact with your business? All of these things can fit into your marketing plan. I'm happy to talk about any of these individually. And again, the pro tip here is that everything should have that measurable call to action. Measurable by knowing how many people clicked. If you are paying for something, make sure you ask that before you pay for it. So if you're doing a digital display ad, ask the company that you're placing the ad with, how are you going to show me the measures of success on this? And understanding your measures of success. So your marketing plan will change year to year based upon what success looks like. So take some time to think about what is success for you right now. Is it getting more people to be aware of your brand? Is it getting more people to come and spend money in your business? Is it more conversions on your website, getting more eyeballs to your own channels? All of these things are good measures of success. And having that call to action is going to be how you point people back to the thing you're trying to make successful. And if all of this is still overwhelming, here's 3 questions that you can answer. What do you have to do to maintain your brand? What do you want to do if you have time? And ultimately, what do you want your audience to do? So those are really the 3 goals here. What sort of things need to happen to maintain your brand and increase your promotion and your marketing? These are things like maintaining your website, making sure it's up to date, making sure your Google business page is up to date, maintaining your social media. This is also, again, a place where if you feel like you're not doing things well, what can you get rid of right now to be doing these things better? And then what do you want to do if you have the time or the money? Where would you like to be placing ads? Maybe if you have the time, you want to spend more time building relationships with local media, taking the time to go and present on like Daytime Tri-Cities or something like that. Those are those things that don't have to happen every single day, every single week, every single month, but can be special projects. So you can break your marketing plan up that way this is the ongoing things that have to happen. These are the things that I would like to do when I have the time, when I have the money to do them. And then ultimately, what do you want your audience to do? So as long as you know what you want your audience to do, you can make sure that all of your marketing points back to that. So if it's clicking onto your website, that's your call to action. Click here to learn more. Any questions? I'd love to answer specific questions about these things that we've talked about. I'm happy to answer any specific marketing questions that you might have about your business.
Well, hopefully people are submitting their questions. I've got a couple that I thought that might help everybody. What are the top 2 or 3 reasons that businesses or organizations are failing with their communication strategies?
I would say it's capacity and planning. So that's why I chose to talk about some of these foundational things today, because it's really easy to be a business owner, you don't have time to do a lot of things. And marketing is really easy to fall by the wayside, especially if you haven't taken the time to plan. So taking the time to do these foundational things helps when capacity gets tight.
Well, and does message focus and frequency, is that something else you should look at as well?
Absolutely. And that goes back into this idea of, are you utilizing your channels well? So if we want to look just like at social media, you can, if you're doing it well, you're posting on a regular basis. And that's really personal as well. It might be 1 time a week, might be 3 times a week. It might be every single day. But if you are posting with frequency, then you're doing it well. If you have the time to engage with people, you're also utilizing that channel well. So you can look at this too with your website. Are you keeping your content up to date on your website? Are you posting new information, blog posts, things like that, specials, sales that you're running? If you don't have the time to do that, you're not utilizing your website well.
Okay, we've got a couple questions. Number one, Joey wants to know, is there any data on which channels are most effective? If we have only a bit of time, what do we focus on first?
Yes, there's a lot of data, and a lot of it has changed with the pandemic. So again, this is a really personal question to your business, but I can tell you right now, if you are in a rural place and you're spending time on Twitter, it's probably not a good use of your time. Elon Musk is probably going to mess it up anyway. And we know that rural folks are not on Twitter. So when it comes to like social media, my best recommendation is to lean into Meta, Facebook and Instagram. You can post through the business suite on both channels at the same time. So that's a great use of your time. Then when it comes to like your other owned channels, your Google Analytics will help you know where you should be spending the time on your website. So if you have Google Analytics, it's going to tell you where people are going to your what page on your website they're going to the most and how long they're spending there. So those should be your pages that you are making sure are up to date all the time. It's also going to tell you if you're not getting your audience to do with it what you want, you may need to work on other pages on your site. It's also going to help you if you're running Google ads. So those are the things that you'll look at on the back end of your website to make sure that your Google ads are pointing to the right place.
Great. Lily wants to know, my company is using Facebook group instead of a page and want to change, but are afraid we will lose our following by doing so. Any ideas on what we should do about this?
That's great. And definitely something you want to do. You definitely want to get to that business page. That's super important, and that provides a level of legitimacy to your business. My recommendation would be to go ahead and launch your business page, start putting content there, and maintain that group page for a little while and continue to point people to your new page. You could also, people love to get something, so you could also do a giveaway. You could post that in your group page, that if they go to your new business page, like and share a specific post, that they could be entered in to win something. So that's a good way to quickly convert people over from that group page to the business page. And then I would kind of set a timeline for yourself. So maybe it's 3 months or 6 months that eventually you're going to close down that group page. So that way you're not losing eyes on your new business page. And keep posting and letting people know, hey, in a month, this page is going to go away. Make sure you liked us here. You can also find us on our website, so on and so forth.
Do you recommend having a communication calendar or at least a social media calendar? Have it there because I don't know about you all, but I get busy and tunnel vision sometimes, and I forget some of these things. So what would you recommend the best thing? Of course, we hope you have a marketing plan each year, but having a calendar up that you can.
Yes. Yeah. If you're in, for some people, when you're small, your marketing plan is your social media. So that content calendar is super important, and I highly recommend that. Again, that one's super personal about how you want to do it. Most of the clients that we work with, we do it month by month, and it's super simple. It is literally a Google Doc. It has a table in it, 3 columns, the date that the post is going to go out, the content of the post with any relevant links or tags, tagging your partners. That's another way to think about your team. Who are your partner businesses or businesses that you help promote that you can tag in your posts? That's going to get more eyeballs on those posts for you. And then the visual that's going to go along with it. So that visual might be a link with an image that's going to generate. It could be a photo or a video or a GIF, whatever your visual is going to be. And then having that down by the month is going to do a couple of things for you. It's going to help make sure that you are getting your messaging out correctly. having it all in one place is a really nice way to check your tone, check your messaging, check your keywords, making sure you have a call to action. When you can review it all in one place, it saves time to make those edits. And it's going to do another thing. There's a lot of ways to post now. You can schedule posts. You can do that through Business Suite if you're doing Facebook and Instagram. LinkedIn now lets you schedule posts if you're more of a B2B kind of business. But even Constant Contact will allow you to post, or maybe you're using a service like Hootsuite. I always remind people that when you have scheduled your post, it's really easy to set it and forget it. And something may happen in your world where you don't want a post to go out. So I have an example. We have a client who, actually, I'll give an example for us. Our offices in Farmville are really close to Town Hall and the courthouse. And there have been a couple of bomb threats at the courthouse. And so the last thing we want to do is encourage people to come and see us in our office if there's been a bomb threat at the courthouse. So having that one source of truth for your content is also a quick way to go back and say, oh my gosh, we have inclement weather. Maybe there's a tornado watch going on, and you've posted that you're open late today and you have a sale going on. You can go back to that document real quick and take a look and make sure that you're not encouraging something that isn't good, that maybe was good a week ago when you scheduled it.
I wanted to mention too, on this topic, Rachel Lucas with WSLS she's on the evening anchor and TV station in Roanoke. We had the last session of the Gauntlet competition, and she was a presenter, and she was talking about press releases. And she said something that I never even thought about before, but it made sense. She encouraged everyone, if you've got something that warrants that you think that should be a press release, send it. They're always looking for news. And she said, especially if it's an event, she suggested sending it a month before, a week before, and a day before, because she said we get thousands of emails a day, and you don't want to get lost in the shuffle, but be sure that you include even on the bottom of your press release that you're only available for an interview at a certain time. There was some great content that she shared last night, but it was something that I hadn't heard about. And I've always said that small business should take advantage of free press. And with the media has reduced the size of employees, which means for small businesses and organization, you should be using that opportunity to send information about what, again, you've got a new product, a new service. If it's an organization, you're having a large event, or maybe you're partnering in a community event. Send it out there, and it doesn't have to be a Sears and Roebuck catalog size. You can say a whole lot in 3 or 4 paragraphs and allow them to spark their want to learn more about it. So she highly recommended that. But
Absolutely.
the other thing that you touched on before we started was, when, as a small business or a nonprofit organization or government, we have small budgets, but when is it that we should make the decision, should I continue to try to do this on my own, or should I hire out? And if I do hire out that service, what kind of things should I look out for? And from a budget standpoint, what should there's probably a ballpark or a roundabout fee if I want to hire out that service.
Absolutely. And a good example goes back to press releases. You talked about newsrooms not having a lot of staff anymore. If your press release is an AP style and fits the publication, chances are they're just going to run it as it is. So that's a good example of a time that you might want to hire something out, or get an intern, or get extra help. If you're not well versed in AP style writing and writing for the media, that's a good time that you might want to be hiring somebody. Hiring out is, like everything else, very personal. It comes to the money that you have. It also comes to the capacity you have and the skill set that you have. So balancing all 3 of those, it's a little triangle. You don't want it to be lopsided. You want everything to be balanced and equal. So take some time to assess your skills of you and your team. Take some time to look at your capacity realistically. Especially for entrepreneurs, it's so easy to be like, I can do this. I can do all of it. I'm awesome. And you are, but your capacity is really limited. So be honest with yourself there. And then your budget. So once you have done your assessment on your capacity and your skill set, you're really going to be able then to look at your budget and see where you can spend your money the most. And so it might be hiring somebody to help with Google Ads. Google Ads change all the time. That algorithm, just like social media, changes. So hiring somebody who's an expert in Google Ads, even if it's short term, maybe you just want to run a 6-month campaign, that's a great place to spend money. Again, like writing for the media, or if you don't have graphic design skills, or maybe you're utilizing something like Canva. We, on a regular basis, we love to teach people to fish versus giving them something that they're not going to be able to use. Like I said, a lot of our clients are small. They are governmental nonprofits. So we actually build templates for people in Canva. So maybe you're using Canva well, but it could be a little bit better. Maybe you hire somebody just to build you out some templates and teach you how to use Canva a little bit better. That's another thing I always encourage people to do. If you're going to take the time and effort to hire somebody to do some work for you, ask them questions if they'll teach you how to do it. That'll tell you a lot about the relationship that you're going to have with that person as well. So if you say, I really don't know anything about Google Ads, I would love to learn about Google Ads. Could I hire you for a 6-month campaign, but include some training time in that? So making sure you're getting the most for the money that you're spending.
Oh, and folks, if you have any other questions, please let us know. But I do want to make a note. You've mentioned Google several times this afternoon, and I wanted to mention that we are working with some experts in Google to do a whole series starting in July through December. I think we're looking at about 10 workshops on various parts of Google, different tools, how to use for your website, getting noticed, to even YouTube. So keep informed, and we will be letting you know when those happen. But it makes me feel better that we are going to be doing this series, because how Google really impacts so much of what we do in business and organizations. And what I like is most of their products are pretty reasonably priced, free.
Absolutely. I was reading that those workshops are also going to include how to utilize Google Workspace. So if you're having a hard time just getting yourself organized when it comes to your brand, Google Workspace is going to be a great place to do that. Google Drive. So if you can learn how to build out a good Google Drive of assets, that's going to help you keep your brand consistency as well.
Exactly. We've got another question. Going back to social media, what would you say is the perfect number of social media posts per week? Is there a certain number that you should consider better, just to be sure that all of your followers are able to see your posts without being too much?
Yes. So I'll address the too much. The biggest thing is don't post over top of yourself. Post once a day, because if you post more than once a day, you're going to be competing with your own posts. So there's an easy one. So no more than 7 times a week, because you only have 7 days in the week. So don't post over yourself. Again, frequency is the most important thing. So if you have the time to post once a week, do it. And don't feel bad about it. Know that you're being consistent by posting once a week. Ideally, I would like to see maybe 3 posts a week. And you can do them at varying times too. So take 6 months, post 3 times a week, do some posts in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, and then you can go back and use your analytics. Facebook and Meta gives you a ton of analytics on your posts. So you also can take some time to then look at what people, how people are looking at your posts, which posts are most popular. We have a client, their video, it's Longwood Small Business Development Center. Their success story video posts are by far their best posts. People love to see faces. They love to hear feel good stories. We get a lot of comments on those, like, I love this business, or, oh, I'm so excited for this business owner. So posting with frequency, but then also taking the time to go back and look and see what does well for you is really important. And my last tip there is also to encourage engagement. So on some of those posts, ask people to comment, ask people to, like, let's say you own a boutique, ask people to share their photos. Content harvesting is another way to utilize your team. Your customers really are your team. So encourage people to post on your posts and to include their own content.
Great. I remember the cupcake place that was here in Abington. Well, she did that great because she would get input on what's the new flavor. What should I do next week for the flavor? And that went over well.
She did. And it was always good when they picked your flavor.
That's right. And you go in and you got a free sample of that flavor for the week. But listen, I really appreciate that. I know I learned some great tips and that I plan to use and implement and share with folks that I work with in the future. And I know that it takes time to put a presentation together, and you are doing this free for us. So I really appreciate that. And for those that are joining us today, thank you for attending. I know that this is why we do it, is to help you and your business and organization going forward. Wanted to put in a plug for our next session, which will be on April the 19th. It will focus on Adobe Creative Cloud Express. You've talked about Canva. This is another option for that, which is for someone that's starting to look at new products and manufacturing sale or what have you. But Seth Ritchie, Director of Sales and Marketing with Hilton, the Hampton Inn here in Abington, will be leading that session. So I hope you can join us. Also, I mentioned that this is being recorded. You'll be able to find that on our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/new knowledge, and you'll find nearly 200 or more workshops that we've done since 2015 when we started putting content on YouTube. Also, it will be uploaded on the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator's Facebook page, and we'll share it also on Virginia Community Capital's Facebook page. And usually the Chamber, Washington County Chamber, shares it. So thank you again, and I hope that you can join us at other sessions. And again, thank you so much, Alex, for leading this session today, and
thank you for having me,
being a great partner for us. Thanks, everybody. Happy Easter.